second date. No tongue.
Dan, take us in. What episode is it, Dan? What tasty fucking episode of Shack Out Back is it?
It's huge. It's episode 20. That's like kind of a milestone.
20, 20.
20, baby. Put it on the board. We're on the board.
They're on the board. Hello, I'm Jim. The other one is Dan. It's our book club of sorts. Shack Out Back. Welcome back to the Shack. Our book club of sorts. We talk about shit every week. What are we talking about this week, Daniel?
It was my pick, and we're talking about the Hellboy universe, I guess.
Hellman.
Hellboy kind of just as a whole, because we watched all the movies and stuff.
Yeah. Did you watch all of them? Did you watch the rest of them?
Yeah.
Because me and you got together last week, and I dropped off my Hellboy paraphernalia, and I dropped off all 4 of the movies that are somewhat passable to good, and 4 books. So we're going to be talking about that shit. But, as we always start, Dan, what the fuck is it? What the fuck is it we doing?
What I be doing? The
bi-weekly breakdown, yes.
What I be doing the last 2 weeks? I took quite a bit of time getting the YouTube channel set up because we're cross.
Oh yeah, we're on fucking YouTube. Are we on iTunes yet?
No, not yet. It's kind of a bitch. I was kind of looking at it. I still need to work through it.
Yeah. Dan put all these sexy thumbnails on our videos. The man had learned how to do Photoshop.
I learned how to crop and use layering. I did it.
We're learning skills. Hire us.
Yeah, I took some time getting all that set up, and mostly it was just waiting for all the episodes to, like, render and then go up, and then Cassie did a 1920. Yeah.
She does sexy animation for our fucking episodes. It looks good as hell. We have a new sidekick, too, from the animation. Who's our sidekick, Dan?
It's a little rat. It's Radicus.
Radicus from Flying Rhino Junior High, the most disgustingly created fucking character ever to be drawn by man.
I hate it. Obviously, I bet that's a Canadian animated kids show. Canadians always make shitty animated weird kids shows like that.
All right, keep going. What else have you been doing?
What I be doing? Yeah, I've been doing that. That took a little while. I'm settling more into my job. I'm getting used to working like multiple days in a row with no one else but me there and handling problems and stuff, which is good.
So if anyone wants to murder Dan,
I'm alone there. Yeah, I'm by myself, and there are spots where cameras don't pick up very easily.
So you can shove a big rusty pair of scissors in his neck.
Yeah. I've been doing that. We've been playing quite a lot more Deep Rock.
Yes.
I feel like all I've been playing is Deep Rock.
Yeah, me too.
I got my air compressor for my gunpla painting setup, and I was fucking around learning how to use that and learning how to like get the proper PSI, and I've never really done anything like that, so that's very interesting. I've also consumed a lot of Hellboy over the last 2 weeks. I've consumed movies and media and TV, and
I was rereading some of the books too. Was it my turn, Dan?
Your turn. That's all I've been doing.
So I had a Sopranos craving, so I started watching this. I watched like half of the first season of The Sopranos again, and I was like, oh yeah, one of the actors has his own show on Netflix. You know, this was the first show Netflix ever made. It's called Lilyhammer. It's called Lilyhammer. It's basically okay. This is he's a complicated man. He is the main guitarist for the E Street Band, which is Bruce Springsteen's band he performs with. His name is Steven Van Zandt. And he was in The Sopranos as Silvio, and he's never been an actor before. They just liked him. And then he got his own show where he's basically playing Silvio again. But Silvio, like, moves to Norway. He goes into witness protection and goes to Norway. And half of the dialogue is in English. The other half of the dialogue is just in Norwegian. And they just talk to each other at cross purposes in English and Norwegian. It's very weird.
Good lord.
But I finished the whole show. It was really good. For a first, like... Because you think... with these streaming services, when they get their own shows and shit, they're usually the first one's not that good, but it's passable. Like, it's a fun show.
So how old is it?
I think it came out in 2011 or 2012, so it's like 9-10 years old, and it ended in like 2014. It's pretty good. It's a good like show to just chillax. It's not a show to chillax because you got to read the screen because I don't speak Norwegian, but yeah. I got Little Nightmares for free in the Steam was just giving it away for free.
Oh yeah,
Nightmares.
I saw that. That was very interesting.
So I was just playing that. I'm not finished it yet, but it's a very fun game, very spooky
I like
ass
that game a lot. Second one just came out.
Yeah, he plays a little girl who's like running through this weird industrial area and there's big disgusting humans who try to eat her. It's pretty gross. I watched Psycho Gorman. That was my Shudder movie. that I watched the last 2 weeks. Psycho
we were
Gore
talking
Man.
about that.
Very fun. Very stupid, like, fun movie with lots of gore and dumb stuff happens in it. It's very good. I would recommend that to everybody. It's really fun. Rich Evans plays a robot who is a bucket full of gore.
Psycho Gore Man. Interesting.
Yeah. And I also... Okay. So I had a craving to play open world games. So the first one I tried was Oblivion. Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion. Or Elder Scrolls 3 Oblivion. Whatever the fuck it is. And... I've never finished that game because I play it for like 2 days and I get really fucking bored because I don't think that game holds up as much because Oblivion isn't as interesting as Skyrim or Morrowind because Morrowind's like basically an alien planet. It's very cool and Skyrim's just like easy to play. I bought Minecraft for the PS Vita and I was going to say
that's why you've been playing, or that's why you tried to play Minecraft.
Yeah, right? I played that for half a day. I played Minecraft 10 years ago and I was like, oh, maybe I'll like it now. And I'm like, I played it for a bit. It was okay. And then I thought, wow, time to wait another 10 years before I play it again because that shit's boring. And then I was, what I decided on, I've been playing more the last few days.
Huh.
It's Fallout 3. I booted up my 360 and played Fallout 3. It's still really good. The gunplay in that game is like shit, and you don't have enough ammo for anything, but it's still a really good game. But I think that's it for me for the bi-weekly breakdown. Do you want to get into the meat and potatoes, Dan?
Let's get into the meat and potatoes.
Okay, so I always like talking about this before, because I feel like you have a fun, like, you make fun assumptions and predictions as to what something's going to be before you do it. So what did you think of Hellboy before you saw anything about Hellboy? Because you hadn't read or heard or seen any movies or books or nothing before I gave them to you.
I thought I had watched the first Hellboy movie, and maybe I did, I just couldn't remember it. I also thought I watched the second one, and again, I remember a lot of it, but the ending I got was completely wrong. I think before I started looking at all Hellboy, I don't really know what I thought of it. I don't think I thought the comics were illustrated like they were, even in the slightest. Because
how would you describe the illustrations in the comic? Because Dan read the first 4 trade paperbacks. He read Seed of Destruction, Wake the Devil, The Chained Coffin, and others, and The Right Hand of Doom.
I didn't get to The Right Hand of Doom. I got through about 3/4 of The Chained Coffin.
Because the first 2 are more like contained stories, and
they like followed each other mostly. Yeah,
and the next 2 are like collections of stories. I'm kind of sad you didn't get the Right Hand of Doom because that gives you Hellboy's backstory. But yeah, I'm a huge fan of Hellboy, and I've loved him basically almost the majority of my life. So I feel like I have a skewed relationship with it.
Who do you like about Hellboy? Which is your favorite character, Jim? Tell the audience.
Who's my favorite character? Well, Hellman himself. Hellman's my favorite character.
Who's the guy with the Nazi, the claw? What's his name?
Lobster Johnson.
That guy.
I have Lobster Johnson's really fun. Lobster Johnson has his own comic series in the Hellboy universe just called Lobster Johnson. He's like a 1930s like fighter man who fights Nazis and burns a fucking lobster claw into their head after he kills them.
I like that.
I like because these Hellboy was created by this guy called Mike Mignola, I think his name is. And he is a man who's had a lot of hands in a bunch of different pots. Like, he's worked in the comic industry before. And I think he did the like, art direction for Disney films. I think he did it for Treasure Planet. I know he did it for Atlantis.
I could see that. The character design is very similar.
Looks very similar to Hellboy characters. I think he did for Treasure Planet too, but he's like a guy who just has a very distinct character style and a very distinct writing style too. What did you think of, because the first thing we watched together was the worst Hellboy movie I deigned myself to watch, because I'm not watching that new Hellboy movie. We watched Hellboy Blood and Iron. What did you think of Blood and Iron, Dad?
Okay, so before we got in, I think I want to give everyone the official Shack Out Back Hellboy movie tier list. I believe you'll
This is Dan's movie tier list. Okay, let me hear it.
Worst to best. The worst one is Blood and Iron.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. That one's kind of boring.
And then the second worst one, there's only 4, so second worst is better than, because the jump up between worst and second worst is pretty big. I think the animated movie is, what's it called? Sword of Storms?
Yeah, which is the first Hellboy thing I ever saw. I watched Sword of Storms on Teletoon at night when I was like 11.
Yeah, I think that's worse than the first movie. The first movie's very good. I think both animated movies... Oh, wait, there's the new movie. I forgot about that one.
We're not talking about that. That doesn't exist, Dan.
Huh. Okay, well, it's both animated movies. It's Blood and Iron, then Sword of Storms.
Sword of Storms is way better than Blood
It's
of
way
Iron.
more fun.
Yes.
It's way more fun. That was the main thing. I want to talk about it. But yeah, those, and then the first one, then the second one.
We don't have to talk about them too much because basically there was Hellboy, the live action with Ron Perlman, and they made 2 animated movies for cheap between Hellboy 1 and Hellboy 2.
Yes, for
They were
cheap,
basically
they
just
certainly
promotions for Hellboy 2. So Blood and Iron's like bad, like it's just like a contained story, but it's not good, and the character design kind of sucks. And then Sword of Storms is more like Hellboy's just wandering through this like majestical, like mystical Japanese land where
It's
shit
fun.
just happens.
I like
Yeah.
it.
It's very strange. Yeah.
Blood and Iron also had like a lot of weird, like it's like they were trying to tell a story, but they didn't know what story to adapt, so they just kind of threw a lot of random
they
things.
threw a
in
lot
from
of shit
different
at the wall with
stories.
that. Yeah.
Like it had a lot of parts from the Seed of Destruction when they fought the vampire with the big Iron Maiden and stuff, but nothing was contained. It just felt like they threw it in to be like, look, we read the comic.
This looks like this, and she just okay. So we haven't given the background on Hellboy. We're doing a bad podcast job. Hellboy is a man. He's a man who was sent to Earth by mystical men hired by the Nazis in 1944, and he's a demon. He's a Cambion. He's a half human, half demon man, and he is the beast of the apocalypse. He is the sign that the world is going to end. He has the key to the
yeah.
He is the key to the right hand of the end of the world. Is his right
the fuck
hand.
it's called. Yeah.
He unleashes, if Hellboy chooses to, he can unleash like an eldritch horror which will burn the earth to a cinder, but he's just like a nice lad, and he doesn't want to do that, and that's the struggle with Hellboy. That's explored to an okay extent in Blood and Iron, but it's a bit better in Sword of Storms. Jesus. What did you think about the first live-action movie, Dan?
It's definitely a mid-2000s live-action movie, I'll tell you that much. Yeah, so I liked it a lot. It was very good. The fucking set design, and like you were saying it, the set design is like insane in that movie. It's so nice.
Hellboy from 2003, okay? Or 2004, whenever
it's
it came
that old?
out.
Holy
yeah,
shit.
it's that old. It's like 17 or 18 years old. So here's the thing about Hellboy, the first Hellboy movie. You got the actors. You got fucking Ron Perlman. You got the guy playing Abe Sapien who's really good. You got John Hurt. You got Selma Blair. You got those actors, right? And they do a great job of what they're given. You got the set design. You got amazing sets, amazing fucking costume work and makeup work. It's so good. You got the director. Guillermo del Toro is a great director. You don't got the script. That script fucking sucks.
Yeah,
the script in that movie is
very
shit.
awkward sometimes.
Yes.
Stuff feels very stilted and forced.
There is a character in that movie called Myers, I think, and he's basically he's basically like the fish out of water man, and he's the one that they use to like he's the exposition
fill-in.
He's
you. He's me.
Characters will turn to him and say, "This is what is going on," and that is not a way to write a script. That sucks.
I like
shitty.
him because in the second movie they give him one sentence and they say Hellboy says, "Yeah, I got him transferred to the
Siberia.
Arctic. Guy always loved the cold," and that's the only. It's like he never existed in the first place.
Very funny. They fucking dumped that bitch for the second movie.
Yep.
The first movie kind of takes a lot of the elements of Seed of Destruction and Wake the Devil. They have like basically Hellboy was called Earth by Rasputin, who is a real man in real life.
Rasputin, that guy.
Yeah, that guy. And they take a lot of elements from Seed of Destruction, a lot. They change stuff around, which is fine. Here's the thing that I think about these movies. And the people always bitch about comic book movies that they change everything around and change things and stuff. And I don't really care about that at all. As long as you're staying true to like the character and the outline of the story and the essence of it, you can change shit. It doesn't matter to me.
Yeah. I'd rather see something unique and well made than just retelling what I've read on a screen with real people. It doesn't provide anything. It doesn't add anything.
Mm-hmm. That's why I think, because I'm assuming you're going to say that Hellboy 2 is like the best of the 4 movies.
Yeah, definitely. They didn't have all the melodrama with him and Liz, but I missed seeing all the cats. I wanted to see more cats, god damn it.
So Hellboy 2 has the least to do with the comics, and I think it is very strong because of that. Yeah. The only thing they took from the comics was Johann Strauss, who is the only bearable character Family Guy man has ever played. You know, he's voiced by Seth MacFarlane.
I could see that. I didn't know that, but I can hear that now that I'm thinking about it, huh?
That's the only competent thing Seth MacFarlane has ever done, in my opinion, because I fucking hate Family Guy. American Dad's not bad, at least if you see.
My next topic is going to be watching all of Family Guy.
Oh, don't do that to me. I'll quit the podcast. But what did you think was so strong about Hellboy 2, The Golden Army, Dan?
Hellboy 2 knew it was being fun. It had a lot of fun characters and fun sets, and it felt like just a good movie to sit down and watch, but it wasn't like a popcorn summer flick. It was like, this has got some shit going on. They went to really colorful scenes. They went to the troll market, and they saw like a bunch of weird little aliens, like not aliens, but stuff you'd see for a second, and it's like, that probably took some dude a week to fucking design and make.
Yep. Here's the thing, is that Hellboy, the first Hellboy movie, has all the stuff I said. It's very good, but it's bogged down by, you have to do this and you have to set up the character and give Hellboy's backstory and all this. It
tried to do everything. That movie felt like it could have easily been 2 movies.
Yeah. And the thing about the Golden Army is that they were just like, yep, this is going on, that's it. It's like a contained story that's just like very nice. It's just contained. Because tell me what's the plot like what happens in Hellboy 2? Like, what's the plot summary?
Hellboy 2. You learn that elves and humans and trolls had a big war like millennia ago at the start of time and shit. And elves and trolls made, I think it was like goblins, but whatever. They made like a golden army, and the elves could command it with a crown. And then the elf king that commanded it like slaughtered countless humans because it was unstoppable. And then he was like, holy fuck, that's horrendous. I don't want to do that to them. We should all live in peace. So then he broke the crown, and he was like, elves get the forest and the Underdark and stuff, and humans get the cities and stuff. And then one of the elf princes was like, no, I want to do that again. Yeah, is that his name? Prince Nuala. He was like, I want to do it again. Remember. Very easy pitch. So Prince Nuala has to get the 3 crown pieces, and he wants to revive the Golden Army and fight humans again and like subjugate them and kill everyone. Mm-hmm. Easy pitch. There you go. That's all. So then it's a globe-trotting adventure. Hellboy they go to the troll market and find the crown, and they meet the princess that wants to work with them, and they see the Golden Army, and they see a bunch of trolls and like an angel thing at one point. With
that was cool.
Yeah, it's just like shit. It's made with love. You can tell people really enjoyed working on it.
Here's the thing I like about the comics, right? Is I like those full-length stories. Like, I like Seed of Destruction, Wake the Devil and stuff. Wake the Devil's really good, but I like those collections of the trade paperbacks have collections of short stories that Mignola's done, like 1 or 2 issue stories, like the Troll Witch and the Right-Handed Doom and stuff, because they're so simple. They're just like, here's the setup, here's the action, and then it's done. Like, you don't have to keep through it. And this movie was kind of like that, where it was arcs of like meeting Johan at the BPRD and dealing with him, and Hellboy doesn't really like him, and then going to the troll market, and then going to like where the Golden Army is and seeing the angel.
They fought the big plant monster thing.
Yeah, the big plant monster in fucking in like the middle of New York City. Like, it was just like they found these beans, or they got hit by these beans, and these beans turned into this huge monster they had to fight, and then the monster died and turned into this huge lush garden, and they had like New Yorkers were like, "Fuck you," and like pissing all over it and stuff. Yeah, it was very good. And I feel like in that movie too, it had a lot. The script was better, not just because they didn't have a Mary Sue character they could explain the plot to, but it was a lot of good setups. Like, the movie starts in like 1952 with John Hurt reading that story to little Hellboy about like the prince they're going to fight later, and they time skip, and they do a lot more clever things with the sets and the characters and stuff than they did before. It just had a lot more imagination behind it. What did you think about the movies versus the books?
Movies versus books? Well, there was a lot of characters in the books that weren't there, and I get why. Like, you don't need to introduce an entire BPRD, is that what it is? Yeah,
the Bureau for Paranormal Research and Defense, which is the thing that Hellboy works for.
The RIPD.
The Rest in Peace Department.
Yeah, in the books they introduce, like, that whole cast has there's a couple people. There was the human, what the fuck was his Jim? He was
the human Torch?
No, the human, what the fuck was he?
The Human Torch, that's what he was called.
That's what he is? What?
What are you talking about? What character?
The guy with the magnets. He could figure out what metal is.
Oh, he's in fucking Wake the Devil. Sydney something.
Yeah, like, there's a bunch more people.
Sidney Leach, human metal detector. He was also in Blood and Iron.
Yeah, you could tell the movies were like, okay, we've got these 3 characters. We've got Hellboy, we've got Abe Sapien, and we've got Liz. There's the cast for the movies.
There's the trio.
There's the trio. You'll see them on the poster. They'll be standing in that diamond the little triangle pattern shit. Yep. Yeah, makes sense. In the books, there's a bunch of named characters. Like, there's a bunch of little side characters that have names, and there's a bunch more people because they're agents. Obviously, there's not just 3 fucking agents. Hellboy's not everywhere, so they have a full cast of characters.
I feel like Hellboy 1, like the first live action movie, does a little bit of a shitty job of like just throwing characters at you. Like, the dude who watches Hellboy, who's got like hair implants
Yeah.
or something. Like I don't remember his fucking name and a
No,
bunch of
fuck
other
me,
stuff,
I
but
don't know
yeah.
his name. Yeah, I really liked between the books and the movies. The movies were definitely easier to get into because this isn't a comic book everyone would see and they'd instantly pick it
Yeah.
up because the art style is very different and the story's very different. It's not like a normal story.
That's what I wanted to say about the comics is that I feel like the movies, especially the live action movies, had a lot of light elements. Like they're also very funny too. They have a lot of jokes and stuff. The Hellboy comics are a lot more grimdark than the
yes.
movies. Yeah,
Yes,
they're a lot
they are.
less. They're a lot less lighthearted. They're very much a horror doom and gloom kind of comic, which I enjoy.
There's a lot of babies getting stolen by little
crispy
fairies and
demons.
shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of people getting thrown into an Iron Maiden. There's people getting
Hellboy carrying
speared.
around corpses that aren't like
Yes.
cracking jokes all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff like that.
I think Mignola has a weird sense of humor, which I very much enjoy in a lot of his stories. Because he's written other stuff before. He has this series called Baltimore. And
Yeah, you were saying.
it's not in the Hellboy universe. It's set right after World War One, and the premise is World War One just stops because a vampire plague starts like spreading across Europe, and this man named Baltimore just is fighting all the vampires because they killed his family or whatever. That's a lot more dark than Hellboy. Those books are fucked. There's this story in Baltimore that I don't remember what it's called, but it's like basically a church full of nuns gets infected with vampirism, and they're like horrible fucking like skinless ghouls who like rip people's heads off, and they do this whole ritual, and this is written by Mignola too. They do this ritual where they take this pregnant girl and just keep feeding her blood until a witch bursts out of her stomach and is resurrected in blood. Yeah, it's very. I think Mignola kind of toned it up, like the grim dark for that.
What's that called? What's it called?
Baltimore.
Baltimore.
Yeah.
Interesting. I'll have to take a look at that. Have you bought any of those books or
I
anything?
have the first three. I
really?
think the second one's very strong. The first three trade paperbacks, yeah.
Huh.
But he's also done a lot of weird stories. He did this one called The Amazing Screw-On Head, which is about a robot head who worked for Abraham Lincoln, who screwed himself into different bodies in order to fight like supervillains in 1860. And they did a pilot for it. They did a pilot for it for Sci-Fi, and Paul Giamatti stars as the Amazing Screw-On Head.
Like a live action show?
No, like an animated show. It was very cute though. It's a very cute thing.
Let me guess, Jim, that didn't get picked up and
It did not get picked up. The only reason why I saw it because I rented it from Jumbo Video when I was like 13. It was on DVD.
Good lord.
I was actually contemplating stealing it. Yeah, that's how much I liked it because I knew I was never going to find it again, and I have not found it ever again.
Go back and steal it. Find that Blockbuster and go back and get it.
Go back to Jumbo and steal it.
Ask if they still have it. What do you think Jumbo Video, tangent for one sec, what do you think Jumbo Video does with old DVDs?
They sell them.
Really?
That's what they do.
I guess,
do you not see the whole section of used media they sell?
I don't know. Every time I go there, it's always like Third Rock from the Sun season 3, fucking Seinfeld seasons 5 through 6.
That's just what Dan's looking for. He's looking for that tasty Jerry Seinfeld and John Lithgow action. The sexiest men on television.
That's all they have there. Getting back on a topic, I want to talk about the art. I kept like just stopping reading and looking at all the colors and the art he uses because you don't see these colors very often in like stuff that I read, at least like publications. It's a lot of like really dark reds against even darker blacks and like really light oranges against like reds.
For Seed of Destruction, like the whole run, and for there's a collection. I don't know if it's in the one you read. I don't know if it's in The Chained Coffin or if it's in Right Hand of Doom. But it's a story called The Wolves of St. Augustine, and it's about a bunch of ghost wolves. And I think Mignola just you know how Bob Ross does white on white and he just paints on white. I think he did all of that work on black. Like he started with black and then drew on black.
That's very interesting. No white. I could see that definitely. There's a lot of panels that are fully black except for like Hellboy's really dark red outlines or like a gun going off, things like that. Very interesting.
It's very gloomy. It's a very gloomy art style. The thing I like a lot about like I have all the Hellboy books, right? I liked looking at how Mignola's art changed as it went along.
Oh, yeah, I like doing that with manga. Same thing.
The first 5 or 6 issues was just him drawing them, and they changed very dramatically. I think his art was the best around the Troll Witch and others, that paperback, but for a lot of the later ones, and he does this with all of his series, a lot of the later ones, he gets someone else to draw it, and then he'll do like very important parts. Like he did the end of the world part in BPRD, he did it. But like Darkness Calls, The Wild Hunt, Crooked, The Bride of Hell, and The Storm and the Fury were all drawn by someone else. And the art is beautiful. The art is beautiful, and it works really well with those stories. But then, because they're very like those stories dealt more with like fairies and like magic and that kind of
like
stuff, and
like fae creatures and stuff like that.
It was all of the elements from the Hellboy 2019 movie that they stole were based in that stuff.
Oh yeah, I could see that.
Yes,
yeah, definitely.
But he came back to draw Hellboy in Hell, and he did that all himself. And
Hellboy in Hell. What is that? What is Hellboy in Hell?
So Hellboy, this is spoilers for the Hellboy series, so skip ahead a minute if you don't want to get spoiled. I'm going to give them a second. Okay, so at the end of the regular Hellboy series, Hellboy discovers that he is the direct descendant of King Arthur, and this is in the Hellboy 2019. movie.
Is that? Oh, that's where they got that weird shit.
And Hellboy basically gives it up. He's not like, he doesn't want to be king, so he gives it to someone else. But then he beats a dragon at the end, but he gets killed and dragged into hell. And then he's in hell, and in hell, Hellboy kills Satan and does a bunch of shit and fights Leviathan, like the biblical Leviathan, and does a bunch of stuff. It's a very cool series. And that's what he does in hell. He basically unmakes hell, so there's no hell anymore.
Hellboy in hell. He beats... So, canonically, Hellboy fights Satan and
he doesn't
kills
fight
him?
Satan. Satan's asleep. Satan's been slumbering for like a millennia to gather up strength to raise an army to go back to Earth to kill everyone. Hellboy just sneaks into his room and cuts his fucking throat.
Okay. Interesting.
Very strange. I will say that there aren't a lot of Hellboy books, like the Hellboy trade paperbacks, compared to the BPRD. So at a certain point, Hellboy leaves the BPRD to go like figure out his shit, and there's a ton of BPRD books. There's like 30. There's like 30
really?
Or over
that
30.
Many? Holy shit. They just focus on...
They focus on Abe and Liz and Johan from Hellboy 2.
Really?
Yeah, and Roger the Homunculus, who is in Wake the Devil.
That is interesting.
That was the first
is Roger the homunculus Liz wakes up?
Yeah.
I knew he would come back. Yeah, that was weird. They showed him off for like 1 second, and then he like killed a dude and ran away.
He's in another part. He's in the last story of that book you're reading.
Huh. That's interesting. I didn't know that. I thought... Yeah,
they bring in different characters. When Mignola started writing Hellboy, he always imagined it as like a team book, like it's like a group of people fighting stuff. But he realized that Hellboy would probably do better by himself. So he had Hellboy go off, and then he made that team book himself. He did the BPRD stuff. And here's my comments to the BPRD stuff. The first arc, amazing. And the artist he gets to do the first arc of BPRD, fucking phenomenal art. Very, very good art. Very different from Mignola's art, because it's very, like, bright colors and, like, very clean, like, writing and all that stuff. And
you can tell it's different, though? You can tell
it's
different. Oh, really? It doesn't try to, like, copy his...
No. And BPRD Hell on Earth is the next arc, and that art's also very good. It's a lot more stylized, a lot different, sort of similar to the Seed of Destruction, how that was so like angular and very striking. Like that art's very similar to that. And then the guy who did the last arc of the entire universe, BPRD, The Devil You Know, I don't like his art much at all.
Really?
It's very unclear. There's some stories are better than others, but he's very jumbled and not very good at drawing characters. In the last part, in the very last book, Ragnarok, I can't kind of differentiate between characters very good, except for like your three dudes like Hellboy, Liz, and Abe, because they're
just all kind of like
the rest
like
of them I don't think this succeeded, because BPRD tries to set up side characters, and some of them work and a lot of them don't. And at the end of the book, Ragnarok, they kill off a lot of them quickly. And I'm like, oh yeah, that guy. I don't really care about him. And oh yeah, this person. I don't really give a shit about them either.
So you can kind of tell that they were trying to get spin-offs ready to go, and people
here's the thing. I think they were just exploring different things. And a lot of it did work. Like there's this character in there named Kate who's very strong. She's in some of the books you read. But a lot of them, like the soldiers they work with and shit, they like kill them off and stuff. I'm like, I don't give a fuck about these guys. This is a little too jumbled. I like how it ends, though. I like how Hellboy ends. Is it worth reading all of that stuff, in my opinion, to us listeners? Yeah. Maybe not some of the side stuff, because it's very niche. Like, I would say that Lobster Johnson is a little niche. I don't know if everyone's going to like that. Like, pulp,
Jim, you're saying that most viewers won't like an old time, because he's like an old dude, isn't he? He's like a Lobster Johnson's like a middle-aged fella.
He's like a man. He's like in his late 30s or early 40s, and he's just like a crime fighter. He's got this team of guys in a sewer, and they're just like killing Nazis and shit. It's very weird.
Anything killing Nazis is good to me, Jim. I'll read Lobster Johnson.
I like Lobster Johnson. There's also another series called Witchfinder, which is also very strong. It's about this Victorian era man. It's in the Hellboy universe called Edward Grey. Sir Edward Grey, and he basically fights monsters too. There's one called Lost and Gone Forever, which is probably the best Hellboy universe comic that's ever been made. The art is gorgeous.
Lost and Gone Forever?
Yeah, look up, you, Dan, right now, and all the listeners, type into Google Witchfinder, Lost and Gone Forever, and image search it, and look at that art. It is fucking beautiful.
Lost and Gone Forever. And this is set in the Hellboy universe?
Mm-hmm.
Huh. Wow.
They got a guy who did cowboy comics.
Jesus.
Like, actual cowboy comics from 1950. The man was like 90 years old or something to draw that comic with like zombies and like mystical men and like shit, like demons and stuff. And it is so gorgeous. Such a gorgeous book.
It looks like, even the art, it looks like an old like pulp sci-fi cover or something like that. Yeah, look at that.
Yeah. Like as soon as I bought that book, I was like, oh, I like the first Witchfinder. I'm going to buy this too. Blown away by it.
Jesus, there's so much shit happening in the background. Like, every background character looks different. Holy shit.
Beautiful. And I will say that, as much as I love Hellboy, from a, like...
you were saying, this was interesting to me. You said that, even though you like Hellboy, like, Abe Sapien's story is completely better. It's just straight up better.
Because they did an Abe Sapien series that was kind of like the Hellboy series. The first two are kind of like the book you're reading, kind of like Chain Coffin and others, where it's just like a bunch of stories put together, and they're okay. But there's an arc from book 3 to book 8, I think, where Abe also quit the BPRD because he mutated into a fucking, like, Cro-Magnon fish man. He's huge, he's got big muscles. And he was like, and as he, okay, so in that arc, the world was basically ending and, like, huge monsters coming out of the ground and killing people. And Abe was just, like, running around the US with this group of people trying to, like, save them and just try to live. And it is the best arc in the whole series. It's so good. And the characters are kind of similar because Hellboy and Abe are kind of like... Abe Sapien's like a fish man that he's found in a basement. They don't know where he's from. He doesn't know where he's from, nor does Hellboy. But the way Abe kind of deals with it and comes to like an understanding and acceptance of it is a lot more interesting and in-depth and different than what Hellboy does. Which is good, strong character writing that they're different because the characters are kind of similar. But yeah, it's so much better. Here's the thing. I love Hellboy so much that... I can see some of these faults and stuff, and when it's bad, it's very bad. Like, I'm not going to...
so?
I watched the first half an hour of that Hellboy 2019 movie, and as someone... I don't know what that movie's for, okay? Can I just tell you why I don't know what that movie's for?
I wanted to talk about it. Yeah, I wanted to talk about it.
So, you've seen trailers and stuff for it, right?
I've watched it.
You watched the whole thing?
Yeah, I watched it.
Okay. What did you think of it compared to the other movies?
It doesn't feel like the same character. It feels like they were trying to rewrite Hellboy, and I don't know where they were trying to... Well, I do, because they used all the cinematic footage in the trailers to be like, whoa, it's the end of the world, and then it all wraps up in a little bow to keep going, but it was a cinematic flop. They're not making another movie in that universe at all.
They might make a Hellboy 3, like they might get... Maybe they'll get Ron Perlman back to do another movie, but I maybe someday, maybe not, because Mignola and Guillermo del Toro got in a big fight. That's why they didn't make a third movie. Yeah,
actually,
yeah.
I didn't know that.
I don't know what it's about, but I was reading that they had like a disagreement or something and aren't even friends anymore. So kind of sucks. But yeah, what I didn't like about that movie was kind of like Blood and Iron, but to a greater extent, they just like cherry picked. They went like, oh, this, and just shoved them in together in like this big fucking soup of Hellboy that didn't make any fucking sense. Like, they took stuff from Hellboy Mexico, the very last arc of the Hellboy comic. They just took that out and put it in the first movie in a fucking franchise.
Yeah,
that didn't make any sense.
Yeah, it went from a lot, because it's supposed to be a reboot. It's not connected to the old Hellboy at all.
Not at all.
And yeah, it was a lot of like this is all just happening, eh? It went from there was also characters we've never seen, even in the other movie. There was a dude, is he in the comics, that turns into like a big
Ben Dynamo?
hyena
Yeah,
werewolf dude?
Like Johan and Hellboy 2, they never met in the comics, but they work together, right? Because their personalities clash. He never meets Ben Dynamo, and he can't just turn into a fucking like cat. Like he's like
it's like a cat thing.
Yeah. He just like is a man who is tortured by his past, because he's a guy who like was possessed by an evil jaguar spirit, and he killed like all his friends before, so he's a very dark character. And did you know that he was like a Japanese character in the comics, and he's a Japanese character in Hellboy 2019? Did you know he's supposed to be played by a white guy when they started making that movie? And
that's awkward.
And everyone had a fucking uproar about it. Rightly so, because what the fuck? And then the guy who was playing him was like, yeah, I can't do this. Like, what the fuck are they doing? And just quits.
That's fucking awkward, especially when the actor even knows it and quits. That's very, very awkward.
It's so disappointing too, because all of that imagery they stole from the comics is so strong and so great, and they turned it into fucking shit in that. Well,
they turned it into trailer bait. That's like what I garbage. Call it. It's nothing. It's not in the movie. It's in the movie for 10 seconds. It's like, here's Hellboy flying a dragon with the big horns and the crown, and it's in the movie at the very end for 10 seconds, and they slap it in the trailer.
That's such a climatic thing that happens in the comics, and it's treated like fucking shit in that movie. Yeah. That movie's garbage. And I love David Harbour. David Harbour's a good actor. I don't like anyone else in the movie, basically. I don't like Mila Jovovich. I think she's a joke of an actress. Sorry, Mila Jovovich, you ever hear this? And the director of that movie, too. Do you know it was the same guy who directed The Descent?
That was the movie where the women went down in the cave, right?
With the troglodytes. I think that guy made that one movie, and everything else he's ever made has been crap. I think it's just a fluke. But I was like, oh, maybe he'll, he's a director who works with a lot with like little things, because on The Descent, like all the sets and stuff were one set that they made in a fucking they didn't even go in a cave. All of that is one set they made in a soundstage. This man made this like amazing horror movie. It's one of the best horror movies ever made, about these women going down this cave with nothing, no budget, no big actresses, nothing, and it's great. And he's given like $1 billion and great actors and great set design. All these people need to work, and just makes utter shit, like garbage.
I think that happens more than people want to give it credit for. I think that some people just get very lucky and they have a cool idea and it goes through, and then they're not very good directors or not very good actors. Same type of thing.
I also could tell it was probably the case that there's a lot of meddling with this movie, like a lot of studio meddling.
I can see that.
It reminded me of, because here's the thing I want to talk about too, is that Hellboy came out 4 years before Iron Man and like the Hulk. Like it was 2004, so it was 4 years before all that fucking shitty Marvel stuff happened. Sorry for Marvel fans.
Jim doesn't like Marvel.
I don't like Marvel that much. But like they set, to me anyway, they kind of set the bar for superhero movies, because there were superhero movies before, and there were superhero movies during that time, like there was X-Men movies and stuff. But Hellboy kind of cemented that like kind of quirky, kind of like dark, kind of like it's very. To me, it's very tonally similar to that first Iron Man movie, where there's what I was gonna say. There's a lot of light stuff and a lot of heavy stuff. First
Iron Man movie,
right? And the Hellboy reboot, it just seems like a knockoff, like a shitty like knockoff, like a piece of crap rip-off of a Marvel movie.
A big steaming pile of fecal matter, if you will.
Yes, a thing that makes Jim very upset.
So you've never finished watching it? You only watched the first time. So you haven't seen like when you went to Merlin and all that shit?
No. I didn't want to.
So
I didn't want to keep watching, because it hurt my heart. Here's the thing. Here's why I don't like talking about Hellboy with people that much, because you can tell that I know a lot about it and I enjoy it a lot. But it to me, I always laugh when people, because our friend Brandon, sorry Brandon when you're hearing this, but he loves Marvel movies and he counts them very personally, and he always gets kind of upset when something's not good, or he kind of is a diehard fan for stuff. And I usually most of the time I kind of disengage with that stuff. I'm like, I don't like anything that much. Like, I don't know why that's upsetting you, but I like Hellboy that much. Like, it is a personal thing to me. Like, these comics help me, because it's a story about a guy who's like, people are saying he should be one thing, he wants to do another thing, and trying to forge his way through that. That's a very powerful thing to read when you're like 12, 13 years old.
Jim is saying he is Hellboy.
I am Hellboy. Me, I am Hellboy. I'm gonna break into Adam Savage's studio where he made his Hellboy suit and steal it from him and wear it every day. But it's a very personal character to me, and I don't like seeing it go in a bad direction. Like, I don't like seeing that shitty movie be made, and I'm like, great. people are gonna say Hellboy's a piece of shit and not want to make any movies of him now.
I can feel that because
it makes me sad.
Like, I bet so many fucking people went to go see that movie with no they didn't, obviously, but I bet so many people saw that.
That Hellboy 2 is like 13 years old now. Like, a lot of people
wouldn't know it. Yeah. And they saw that and they were like, whoa, Hellboy looks sick. And then they walked out of the theater and was like, that was fucking hot garbage. I'm never looking at that again.
Mm-hmm. And compare Hellboy 2019 to the comics, Dan.
It's shit. It feels tonally weird.
It's just so different. Like, it's just
it doesn't feel like the same thing. It feels like they could have made a new IP and just...
They called it Heckman.
Heckman, Hellworld.
Hellworld. They could have made fucking Spawn 2 and used all the same elements from it. They could have made Tank Girl and just plopped Tank Girl in it.
Well, it just feels like they needed a story and was like, here's a Hellboy story, let's do something different, so just put it in, and then we'll make a Hellboy movie. Yeah, I don't know. Very sad. It
felt very cynical to me.
Like, I can't remember almost anything. Like, Abe Sapien was in that movie, I believe. I don't know what he did.
He's the Marvel-esque after-credit scene where you see a tube and then Abe's hand plops against it, and then it's like...
Oh, he wasn't even in the movie?
Nope, and it's like, see you at Hellboy 2... 2025.
Never again.
Fuck.
Sad. It's such a weird choice. Why would you not include him? That's like one of the... Like, I didn't know much about Hellboy, but I knew that dude was in it. The blue dude, the fish guy.
Yeah. It's because those characters are strong. Because Hellboy has a very strong character design, and so does Abe. Like, Abe looks the same in the comics. You got the
big blue and the big red guy. That's what it is. The big blue and the red guy. And
Liz is kind of like, that goth girl, like, Firestarter kind of whole design thing, and that's kind of generic-y, but it's still striking.
Yeah.
Very strong character design. Mignola hit it out of the park when he wrote that first Hellboy story. He was like, I want to focus on these three characters. These three characters are strong. Because when he started drawing it, he had a whole team of people. He had, 10 fucking people on the team, and Hellboy was just one of them. But he kind of shortened it down and said, okay, I want to focus on this guy choice. And have the other people as auxiliary characters. And he's good at character writing and stuff, so... Do you have any interest in reading the rest of the comics, Dan? Is it
Jim is interested in Hellboy. To be honest, I'm very much considering pre-ordering that Hellboy omnibus that covers his story on Amazon.
I think there's 2 or 3 of them, and the first 2 are the trade paperbacks 1 to 4, so all the ones you have, and then the next 4 and the next 4, and I think they have an omnibus for Hellboy and Hell too, and that's the whole Hellboy story together.
Yeah, I was very much considering getting that. Right now you can pre-order. It's $120, and it's the entire Hellboy contained story. It's
it's all of it. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
I know all of Hellboy's story, but it's nothing like any of the other stories and stuff like that.
Even Hellboy and Hell, does it have Hellboy and Hell too?
I think so. It says it's the complete collection for the complete story of Hellboy from start to finish.
Oh, that makes sense.
I would think so, and it's brand new, so...
I think without saying it, that people know that I would recommend this to everyone at least to try. What do you think? What do you think is the best way to experience Hellboy? Just plopping Hellboy 2004 on the screen, Dan?
I would say Hellboy 2004. Watch that, watch the second one, and then... I would say watch both the animated movies just because they're short. They're only an hour and 20 each or something like that.
They're like 80 minutes, 75 minutes if I remember.
Yeah, they're not amazing, but they're fun. At least the Japan one is. The other one's just kind of mediocre.
Yeah.
I would say if you're really desperate for a movie and you have Amazon Prime Video one night and you want to watch Hellboy 2019, watch it, but also know that that's not Hellboy and you'll never see him again in your life.
You'll never see David Harbour put on that fucking makeup again. Yeah, I think it's if you're someone who likes good bad movies, if you like a movie that's shitty and you want to laugh at how shitty it is.
Yeah, you could definitely laugh at that movie.
Did you know that there's Hellboy video games, Dan?
I had no fucking clue.
There's Hellboy Seed of Evil, which was released on the PS3.
Oh, you were telling me there was an old one.
The Xbox 360, and the PSP. And I'm kind of hunting around for the PSP version because I want to see how bad it is. There was also a Hellboy Windows Me game that was released in 1999 that everyone said...
Dogs of the Night. Hellboy Dogs of the Night. I don't know why that's called.
Everyone says the game is fucking unbearable.
The Wikipedia article of it is 2 sentences, and then it scored an 11% on game rankings out of 100. and it got an 0.5 out of 5, and the reviewer said, "God help me, I didn't think it could be this bad."
So there is something worse, in fact, than Hellboy 2019.
It doesn't even have like a Metacritic page that's really working. Holy shit.
I bet it was like 5 copies they duct taped together and just gave out on the street.
Okay, so Danny recommends Hellboy Dogs of War, or whatever I just said. I already forget what it was called.
Hellboy Dogs of Dogs. There's like, there's Hellboy novels. There's some good Hellboy novels. I have one.
That's interesting.
There's ones called like Ice Wolves and Fire Wolves or something. Hellboy Fire Wolves. And they're supposed to be canon. I haven't read those. They're supposed to be good, where Hellboy has like a girlfriend or something. Because Hellboy and Liz aren't together in the comics, but
yeah.
Jim,
after this podcast, I'm gonna send you low poly Hellboy.
Oh God, I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, Jim here. Read Hellboy. It's good. It's fucking good as hell. It's very close to my heart, and it's a very simple story of a man trying to find himself on a backdrop of a bunch of cool, creepy shit that Mignola just throws in there. So, it's a good recommend from me. Anything else you want to say about Hellboy, Dan, before I pick our next topic?
Danny here. I recommend Hellboy, and he also has a really big gun, and I like it when he shoots his really big gun at things, and they explode.
Did you watch the deleted scenes for Hellboy 2?
No, I didn't.
Okay. So in the deleted scenes for Hellboy 2, he has this gun where he says, "I'm gonna get my big baby."
Oh no, he did that in the he did that in the movie. He went, I like the big baby, and it's like a huge
it's like a lever action fucking huge revolver. He blasts the thing in the head with. It's very funny.
I like Big Baby. I like that as a name. I recommend it. Jim, tell me what the next topic is, because you said you've had it for a long time, so I'm interested in what it is.
I've been thinking about this. Do you remember what I bought on the Steam sale?
Oh fuck me. I don't. No, I don't.
Do you remember those questions I was asking you around the Steam sale, Dan? I laid the seeds for you to follow.
I don't remember. What the fuck was it? I'll remember right when you say it.
Dan, are you prepared? Are you prepared to do a co-op game with me? Do you know what the co-op game's going to be? We're playing for episode 21 of Shack Out Back.
What did you buy? What is it?
Dan, it's Dead Space 3.
Oh, God.
We're playing Dead Space 3 in co-op.
Wow, because we've done this before for our really old podcast. We did like 2 episodes on and then got tired of it because the episodes were fucking 5 hours apiece.
You finished Dead Space 3, but I didn't because I thought it was so bad last time. But now we're playing together. We're going to hold hands in our shack around our CRT TV with bunny ears and play
I'm kind of excited for that. That'll be fun.
The death knell of the Dead Space series, because me and you are both big Dead Space fans.
Yeah, I'm a huge Dead Space fan. Okay, I'm interested in that. Yeah, that'll be fucking sick.
All right. So we're closing out on Shack Out Back. I'm picking up Radicus. He's saying, "Phantom!" And we're going to put him in his little chair and feed him like tapioca pudding.
Me.
Good night, Hell Gals and Hell Boys.
Good night, Hell Boys and Hell Ladies.
Hell Women.
Hell Women. Good night, everyone.
Women. Good night.
Good night, darling.
Goodbye, Jim.
Bye-bye.
Good night, Dan.
Good night, everybody.
Let me put this to you as delicately as I can.